there, everybody. It's been a hot minute since we've done a riding video. Finally here in Southern California. Yes, you see sun now, but it has been absolutely pouring the last 3 days. So that's put a bit of a damper on riding and obviously filming, making videos for the YouTube, as well as just general holiday stuff. But it's the day after Christmas. There is some sun out and it's looking pretty awesome. So I know what you're thinking, those look like mountains, and you say you're in LA. We're staying with my parents in the Sunland Tujunga area. It actually has really good access to some mixed terrain riding. Unfortunately, a lot of that mixed terrain riding is gonna be super muddy right now. I'm not committing to a huge ride today, just something to warm up the legs. I have been off the bike for almost 2 weeks now. Between getting a booster and feeling sick, and then the long drive down here, just not enough bike time. So what I think I'm gonna do is explore the Tujunga Wash. Usually it's fairly bone dry, but with all the recent rains, there should be a river running through it, quite literally. So let's check it out. Cutting through some Burby new development here. And over there is the wash. The mountains up over yonder is a big Tujunga, which is actually a fairly popular road ride, but it's seeing a lot of traffic these days, so I try to avoid it and just ride more of the mixed terrain stuff. This is the Tujunga Wash. It's nice to have a bit of undeveloped land fairly close to the city, and I'm gonna peek over the edge and see if there's water. There you go, in all its beauty. So the wash is definitely not a destination trail, let's put it that way. But this is a fun place to kind of fart around on bike, or even go trail running. Speaking of trails, I'm gonna put the chesty cam on and we'll just do a quick cruise. And here we are, still within Los Angeles County. Up over yonder is where the wash is going through. You can hear the water. And up in these hills is where we've done some gravel rides in the past. I'm hoping to explore that area more while we're down here, but looks like there is more rain on the way. Actually surprised that it's not muddier. It's definitely sandy. Like this surface is pretty sandy. Perfect terrain for the Ritchey and these slightly wider Renaers tires. Just a little bit more float than the typical 650B by 47. Not like a ton more, but just a little bit more. I'm gonna nerd out on this bike for a second. I did end up swapping the rear cassette for an 11 to 50. I'm hoping to do some real climbing rides with this, maybe a bike packing trip. And yes, the chain is wax. I swapped out the chain that they sent it over with some wax chain, so nicely waxed chain. We'll see how it does with all this grit and everything, but so far so good. One other thing I did with this bike is I swapped the shifting from index to friction. I actually prefer it in friction just because it's a lot easier to get into gear for me, and you don't have to worry about perfect cable adjustments. It just gets into gear. But check this out, guys. There's a river running through LA. Not quite to the same quality as the ones that we have in Montana, but hey, pretty good for Southern California. A little less of a raging river over here. Humpy. And these bars, totally digging the Coyote bars by Ritchey. There's something to this alt bar, flat bar thing. I think it might just catch on. Don't get me wrong, I'm still keeping all my drop bar bikes. I struggled to find a flat bar that works well for me, but these ones work pretty good. I love the back sweep without having a ginormous stem. Again, the only bummer part for me is that it gets a little tight here when you're mounting a bag. You can see the cabling's a little scrunched up. I think if I were to set this up as a dedicated bike touring rig with load always in the front, I'd probably lengthen the cables by at least like 6 inches. Jack the bike rack, still doing awesome. Rock solid on terrain like this. So I'm gonna flip it, find a different bit of trail, and then we'll wrap the video up. I think there's a way up this way. A little bit too much for this bike, at least for me. Oh. Totally needed this little ride today after being off the bike for so long, just getting over different things. Nice to spin the legs again. Also, from a practical perspective, hard to maintain a cycling YouTube channel when you don't get a chance to ride. Totally love friction shifting on this bike. It is an 11-speed bike, and I think, kind of common knowledge if you will, is that the more speeds you go, the harder it is to friction shift, but I actually disagree. I think the more gears there are, the more likely you are to land in the appropriate gear. If you're waiting for some fancy index drifters that are out of stock because of supply chain issues, just go friction, man. Way cheaper, you'll still have as much fun. You won't be able to launch that super sneaky attack or whatever, but at least you can ride your bike, right? On a quick note, I do want to thank everyone who has purchased stickers and patches and stem caps this year. Our store is currently down, but we're going to be reopening it soon, and it's going to live on our actual website instead of redirecting to a different website altogether. Big, huge thanks to all the Patreon supporters that joined this year. You know, you guys make this content possible, and I mean that in no small way. You know, AdSense on YouTube is always up and down. You know, I haven't made a video in a couple of days, and already the AdSense is just like taking a nosedive. So you guys that support us on Patreon, you know, you let us have like a week break without, you know, totally freaking out about how to pay rent and food and all that stuff. In terms of the Ritchey, look for the review probably in a couple weeks. I'm going to hand this bike over to Nolan over at Bike Sauce. He's going to do some things to it. I'm going to get back and ride a little bit longer and do some things to it as well. If you're looking for a stable but capable bike that doesn't weigh too much, that's all steel, this is a pretty sweet bike. It reminds me a lot of what Rivendell does with their hilly bikes, as they call them, but with more modern standards. So through axle, you know, disc brake compatible, boost spacing, all that stuff. Hope you guys are having a awesome holiday season as well as a good new year, and as always, keep the supple side down.